Hey everyone, I would like to introduce a very special guest, two-time Illinois Miss Basketball, all-time leading scorer at IU, and currently a broadcaster for the Big Ten Network.
Tyra Bus.
Tyra, tell us about growing up in Mount Carmel and how it has shaped you into who you are today.
Yeah, coming from a small town, it's been a blessing. Our community's just amazing. They've been a great support system in high school, and then even when I went to college at Indiana, they've just really followed me, and I've really appreciated, growing up in such a small town, and, I'm surrounded by great people. My family's awesome, and, I'm always an ace. That's what I always say, and so I always remember where I came from, and, I wouldn't be where I am today without, the love and support of my family and the community in Mount Carmel.
Who are your parents?
My parents are Tim and Kelly Buss.
Did you have any siblings?
I did. I had two older brothers, quite a bit older, so we have a little bit, an age range. And so Tyler is my oldest brother. He's 10 years older, and then I have another older brother, Kyle, who is 6 years older than me.
Talk more about your mom and dad a little bit.
Yeah, they're both, amazing, obviously. They've been there for me and pushed me to be the player and person that I am today. I couldn't have been raised, by two great, even more great parents. And so, my dad, he kind of get my athletic ability from him. Sorry, Mom. But I also get my running from my mom. And so she's, why I'm in such good shape and why I've always been in such good shape is because of her. And she was a runner, and she, built my stamina. And she was my track coach in high school, so you can only imagine how that was. But no, seriously, she's also helped me with like my time management skills, and she's just been my best friend, ever since I was young. But very fortunate to have, the parents that I do, and like I said, they've raised some pretty great kids, and I'm very lucky to have them.
Did sports play an integral part in your family?
It did, and like I said, I grew up in a family of sports and educators. They're all in the education system, and that's kind of where I went whenever I got to college. I'm a physical education major, but as far as sports, yeah, I had my dad. He played all different kinds of sports. Then he played basketball at a Division III school in Wisconsin, and then my mom, like I said, she ran track, and she was a cheerleader, which is weird. But that's okay. She I definitely didn't get any of that, but my brothers also, and that's kind of who, I grew up watching was my two older brothers, and I was always at their sporting events, always wanting to be involved with their friends, playing any type of game, whether it's wiffle ball in the backyard, some football, some basketball. I was always wanting to be involved, so.
At what age did you become interested in sports?
Oh, I think ever since I came out of the womb. I have baby pictures where I'm holding different types of, either a basketball, a football, just any type of, different ball I was holding just because I grew up in a family that loved sports, and that's what we grew up, and that's kind of all I knew was to play sports.
So where did you attend high school, and what year did you graduate?
I attended high school at Mount Carmel High School, and I graduated in 2014.
Same year I graduated from T-Topless.
Nice.
What sports did you play in high school?
I was a four-sport athlete all 4 years. So I did tennis and cross country in the fall, I did basketball in the winter, and then I ran track in the spring.
So as far as talk about your high school sports career from your freshman to senior year.
So obviously it was pretty busy being a four-sport athlete. I didn't have a lot of time to do other things, but those were the sacrifices I made. And, obviously basketball has been my passion, and that's something that I knew I wanted to do at the next level. But I was a multi-sport athlete, and I think that's what's helped me and how I've become such a great athlete, even in basketball, is because of those other sports I played. And even though I like I said, I played tennis, which I loved and I absolutely missed, but I ran cross country, which I didn't necessarily like as much. But it helped me, and my mom kind of talked me into it. She said, it's going to help you whenever basketball season comes around, and you're not coming off the floor, and you have that fourth quarter, and you're going to have, as much energy as you did when you start the game just from, the endurance that I get from cross country. And so I ran cross country all 4 years, and like I said, although it wasn't the most fun, because I'm more of a mid-distance runner, and 3 miles is, I can do it obviously at a pretty fast pace, but it wasn't, the most fun I've had. But so it's been great playing. Like I said, I'm just an athletic person, and I grew up, and that's kind of all I knew was to play sports. And I absolutely love every single sport that I've played. I even did gymnastics at a young age for a while. I played soccer. I played baseball until I was 13. Until I came to high school, I played baseball with the boys, and I was obviously the only girl, but like I said, growing up with two brothers, I always like, even nowadays, like I just love being involved with the guys. And I don't know, I just growing up with two older brothers, I think that's why I'm like that.
Talk about some of the teams and players that you played against in high school.
Yeah, it's kind of unique. So we're in Illinois, but we were in a conference, which, they went away with that now. We were in a conference with all Indiana teams. So we were in the Big Eight. So we played, which was weird, we played a lot of Indiana schools, some seasons more than we even played Illinois, but obviously when we get to regionals, sectionals, we got to play all Illinois teams. So it was unique. We played, teams in Evansville. We played, obviously our conference was Princeton. We played Vincennes, Booneville, Washington, Jasper, some pretty big schools. Jasper was always good in the Big Eight. Princeton, obviously a rival, especially when Jackie Young got there my junior year. I got to play 2 years against her, which was cool. Princeton's kind of our, cross the over the river kind of rivalry there. And then as far as like Illinois, you got Olney was always big. Even whenever we were in middle school, that was kind of a rivalry with us. And then, obviously my nemesis T-Town, but we'll stay away from that for a little bit. No, but they're a great team, coached by a really, great coach. And so, props to them. And even though they ended my career every single year of high school, it was, playing against some great teams. And, like I said, when I was when I decided, to go to college to play Division I basketball, I think I was more excited because I wouldn't see all the junk defenses that I did in high school. I've never, in high school, no one ever just played us up straight man. He was either boxing one on me, triangle and two, or both girls were following me. Some type of junk defense where I was having to shoot, which is crazy to me looking back at film. I was having to shoot the basketball like 50 feet away from the basket. It was just crazy how I would pull up like that. But I didn't have to do that in college, so I was excited about that.
Name some of your favorite gyms in high school.
Ooh, in high school, gosh, there was quite a bit. I think I liked Washington a lot. The Hatchet House is pretty cool. It was definitely a historic building. And then, there's some Evansville schools I liked a lot. Mount Carmel, obviously, is my favorite. It's the best, the Hilltop, nothing like it. Princeton, their new gym, wow, really nice. I only got to play there 1 year because, it was built, and I only got to play there my senior year. But other than that, I'm trying to think of other Illinois teams. I told you, we played a lot more Indiana schools, so I'm trying to think about some Illinois places that we played at. Robinson, I liked Robinson. We always played in their Thanksgiving tournament, which was really fun to play in. But
for young athletes out there, where do you find the courage to challenge the varsity squad as a freshman?
Yeah, just coming in with confidence. I know it can be tough, and even for me, being the player that I was in middle school and knowing that on day one I would probably start at the high school level, it was still. You kind of have to just have that confidence. You can't come in and act all timid and scared because that's where they're going to take advantage of you. And I think that's where I learned the most. And, even though I had a lot of my freshman year, I had a lot of upperclassmen, some either whether they were happy or not that a freshman was starting, sometimes, upperclassmen, they're not happy about that. And you shouldn't be. You should want to, if you're upperclassmen, you should want to be the best. And so, me coming in and starting as a freshman, I just kind of always had that confidence level, and I, rose to any challenge that, that I was faced with, and any adversity, anything like that. I always just wanted to, prove those people wrong that told me I couldn't do something. And I think that was kind of my motto, my whole life. Just from high school to college, I just wanted to, but it comes with working hard. And it would be one thing if I just came in and took people's spot just because of me, but it was because of my work, and and I take really satisfaction in that because I did work my butt off, and I'm very blessed to like I said, have the support system that I had because they were there for me as well, and they pushed me even more. But it does come with my work ethic, and I think that's why I was able to be the player that I am today is because of how hard I worked.
Who was your greatest role model growing up?
Yeah, so I get this question asked a lot, and actually, it's my two older brothers for sure. I don't ever hesitate to answer that question just because, like I said, they're quite a bit older than me, but they're always just like my protectors, and they were there for me, and they always involved me, even though I was, that pesky little sister. They always, wanted me to be as good as them and even better, and I think that's something that, was a challenge and a goal of mine was, I loved going to all their sporting events, and obviously I have their back, and always supported them, but I wanted to do what they were doing, but I wanted to be better, and I wanted to, do all these things. And I think, I always say I get my toughness from them. I wouldn't be near as tough as I am if it wasn't for them, just because, like I said, they involved me a lot, but the only rule that they had was I could never go crying back to mom and dad. So I could play with them as long as I wanted, but as soon as they saw a tear or I was whining or crying, I was out. They kicked me out. So but definitely, we were playing basketball, and it was they didn't take it easy on me, and I think that's why I am the competitor I am today, was because they didn't take it easy on me. They didn't just let me win because I was a little girl. They made me work, and I lost a lot, but I think, now I could give them a run for their money. But, gosh, I couldn't have, asked for two better older brothers to grow up with, and they're my best friends, and, I think Tyler especially, he was kind of another father figure for me just because he was a lot older. And so he's been, even now, he's awesome, and he gave me my two little nephews that I absolutely adore. And then Kyle, I think I was closer to him growing up just because we were a little bit closer in age. And, Tyler, when he went off to college, Kyle stayed here. And so I think, we kind of got that bond just because I was with him all the time and we spent a lot of time together. But they're both my best friends, and, I would tell them anything. I would be there for them, and I know they're always there for me. So
I want to finish up on high school for a two-part question.
Yeah.
First of all, what awards did you receive in high school? And number two, what was your highest point total in high school as a basketball player?
All the awards. Well, I don't really like talking about myself or my awards, but, like I said, I wouldn't talk about it if I didn't work hard and I didn't deserve it. And so, from two-time Illinois Miss Basketball, which I think is my most, honorable one, which is just truly amazing, and I was super honored and blessed. And then, being an all-time leading scorer in the state of Illinois, almost scoring 5,000 points in 4 years, which was,
That's incredible. How did you do that?
Like I said, just a lot of hard work. And I think, and I know it sounds cliche-ish, but I'm serious. Like, I don't think if I didn't work as hard and made the sacrifices that I did, but that's just, what I wanted to do, though. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be great. I'm a competitor. I hate to lose, even more than I like winning. And so I just did whatever I could because I knew, obviously, playing teams, they knew who I was and they wanted to stop me, and they tried all these different schemes. But I would always just try to one-up them. And so when I was working out, doing workouts, extra workouts, not just at basketball practice, my dad would come in and, I would shoot 5,000, whatever it was, shots after practice just to get those shots up because I knew, I was going to take a lot during the game. And so, it was, I don't know. I loved the game. I have such a passion for basketball. I absolutely miss it. I would go back to high school and redo high school and college in a heartbeat. But it was just, like I said, my hard work, and, I got the assist record. There's so many different ones, and like I said, I don't really like to talk about all my accolades and being Gatorade Player of the Year, and there's just so many different ones that, I've really been honored and blessed to receive, but I would say my most memorable one would be the two-time Miss Illinois Basketball.
What was your highest point total in high school in your career?
In my career in a game?
Yes, in high school, yes.
Which was a really fun game, even though we ended up on the losing side. It was really fun. It was against, actually, Princeton and Jackie Young, two really good players. It was standing room only. There was more than 4,500 fans in Gibson Southern's gym, that was one of my favorite gyms to play in. I forgot to mention them. But I scored 66 points that game.
Wow.
And we ended up losing by, we had the game, and we don't have to rehash it. But, 66, so.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, well, I averaged 46 my senior year, so.
That's incredible,
Tyra. That helps
Tyra.
a little bit. Thanks.
So after high school, where did you attend college, and what years did you go there?
So after high school, I attended Indiana University, and I attended there from 2014 to graduated 2018.
Talk about some of the teammates and coaches that have been the biggest impact on your college career.
On my college career, so, obviously it was a difficult time going to college, a big transition for me just because I'm a big family person and being away from my family was going to be tough. And so that's why one of the main reasons I chose Indiana was because, one, I always dreamed of playing in the Big Ten. Two was because it was an hour and 50 minutes from my hometown. And that was absolutely huge. I wanted my family to be able to come and watch me play every single home game. I wanted to come home and, see my little nephews whenever, they had some big sporting events or anything going on in their lives. So it was close enough where if anything happened, I could rush home if I needed to, or if maybe I just needed a weekend away, I could come home and see my family. But yeah, and so, you know, it was great being that close to home, and I absolutely, you know, loved playing at Indiana. And I would say, you know, obviously my coaches were great. I got recruited and signed with a coach that I only got 5 weeks in the summer with, which is very unique, and it was tough, especially, gosh, you're a freshman, you're already trying to figure out, you know, you only get the summer to kind of figure things out before school year starts, before preseason starts. And so I was 5 weeks in, and I lost my head coach, which was another really big reason why I chose IU. And so I lost all that coaching staff, which was really tough. And I think, you know, looking back, and especially with my other, you know, senior teammate that I spent all 4 years with, Amanda Cahill, and we look back and we kind of laugh at it a little bit because we maybe were a little dramatic once it happened. We bawled and cried, and I mean, we thought the world was ending. Our coach left and the world was ending. But no, it ended up being a blessing in disguise, I think. And, you know, obviously when a head coach, you know, resigns and leaves, and you never really know what's going to happen and who's going to come in, and if you're going to, you know, relate to that coach, or if you're going to get along with that coach, or if you're going to like that coach's coaching style. But I think, you know, having Coach Morin come in, and which was funny because she actually recruited me when she was at Indiana State. Didn't really know, I didn't really, not to sound like that, but I didn't really pay them any kind. I wanted to play at a higher level. And so I wanted to play in the Big Ten, like I said. So Indiana State, although, you know, she recruited me, she came to one of my tennis matches, which was really interesting in the fall. We played at Casey Westfield, which was close to Terre Haute. And so she came and watched me play tennis, and now that when she became a head coach, she called, the first thing she said was, "Hey, I remember watching you play tennis." And so it was really cool. But, you know, like I said, she's been great, and, you know, it could have been a lot worse. But not once ever in my mind, when Coach Miller left, did I ever think that I was going to transfer. You know, because I thought everything happens for a reason. That's always what I've kind of lived by, and I've been a firm believer in that. And it really worked out. And, you know, she was a point guard at Purdue, but no, I'm just kidding. But she, you know, we related in that way just because she taught me a lot, you know, at the point guard, you know, level. And so just to be able to hear her and her knowledge, and the rest of the coaching staff that she brought in. I mean, I talked to, you know, my guard coach who I had my junior and senior year. He was there, Coach Box. I talked to him almost every day. I mean, he was a big mentor for me and kind of helped me, you know, through some tough times. And he was always there, and he worked me out. One of the hardest workouts that I've ever, you know, been put through is by him, and that was multiple. And he really knows what he's doing. And I think, you know, if he chooses to, he would be a really, really good head coach one day. But you know, Coach Rhett was awesome as well. Coach Banks. I mean, there's so many different coaches that helped me along the way. And obviously my teammates, I'm spending every single day with them, so I wouldn't have been able to get by without them either. And my best friend, you know, Amanda, obviously throughout my 4 years, we stuck together. You know, we came in with 4 freshmen, and then only us 2 stayed for the whole 4, which, I mean, that happens. People got to find their right fit. And so just to have Amanda, though, and to be able to finish our career how we did was amazing. So
now that you talked more about some of the teammates you've been in touch with still, talk about some of the teams and players you had the pleasure to compete against in high school, or in college, not high school.
Yeah. So there was, I think our graduating class in college was pretty awesome. I mean, I played against Kelsey Mitchell, who was, you know, drafted by the Indiana Fever. She was, I mean, truly amazing. I have so much respect for her. And I think, you know, the biggest thing too is it's crazy all the different players you play and the respect you have for them, but they also have respect for you too. So like all the other players from different colleges, you know, I still talk to them, and Kelsey Mitchell, you know, I have her. I mean, we talk a lot too. I mean, it's really cool to see you connect with so many of the players and some of the greats. Because you just relate to them in so many different ways. You guys all know what it took, you know, to get to college and to get to that level. And then now, you know, playing professionally, it's really cool. And so Kelsey Mitchell is definitely on the top of my list. I would say Caitlin Flaherty from Michigan. We're also all wearing number 3s, so if that tells you anything. No, but I mean, there were other, players too, and a lot of great post players. But being a guard, I'm obviously going to mention out, you know, all the guards that I played against that, you know, were, you know, really fun to watch, but also a challenge to play against, but fun, because you always want to have that, you know, challenge and, not necessarily rivalry, but it's just fun to kind of go back and forth, and they hit a shot, you want to come down and try to hit a shot on them. So I mean, it's fun, and like I said, college was amazing. I played against some elite players, from my freshman to senior year. But I would say I would also say Rachel Banham. I would put her in there too. Another great guard. She plays for the Connecticut Sun, the WNBA. So there's been a lot of players that came out of the Big Ten that have just been, amazing and really good athletically.
What was the most memorable game you ever had in college?
Ooh, there's a couple. One of them was definitely, I think, my senior day game against Nebraska. I had, I think, 37 points that game, but it wasn't even about the points. We were on a roll my senior year, and we had to keep winning, and that was a big game. Nebraska was 9-0 on the road, and so they're coming into our place, and they haven't lost a road game yet. And it was a big game for us, and so to be able to, and not only that, all my family obviously was there for my senior day game. My family from Wisconsin, I had my family from Seattle coming. I mean, everyone was there, and I think just being able to play my last, well, at that time we didn't know, but my last home game, my senior day game, in front of all my favorite people, and to be able to play the way that I did, and for us to get the win afterwards was truly amazing. So that was one of them. And then the other one, obviously the most memorable one, was our WNIT championship win. I'll remember that day and night and everything in between for the rest of my life. That was a special, special day.
I watched the video and the reaction the last couple of seconds. You guys went bananas.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. I mean, that's all I've ever wanted to do. Yeah, the individual stuff is great, and all the accolades that I've received individually is awesome, but that's the reason I love basketball, is because it's a team sport. It's not just about me. And so to be able to win a championship finally, oh my gosh, I couldn't even express to you how amazing that felt, just because that's all I've ever wanted to do, was win a championship.
So where was your favorite arena to play at in college?
I would say I liked playing at Wisconsin. I didn't necessarily like their arena. It's a little too cold for me. They have an ice hockey arena too, so they have a little ice hockey floor underneath their basketball, and so that's a little too cold, but I got to play in front of all my family. My dad's side of the family lives in Wisconsin, so that was always fun to go and play there. I always said I liked Minnesota. They have a very unique floor in the barn. It's high, it's risen off, it's like up above, and so when you're on the bench, you're sitting below the floor actually, and so you're looking up, you're eye level with the floor, which is very unique, especially when you're going up for a layup, fast break layup, and you're running past the goal. That could be a little tricky because you could definitely fall down on the floor, but it's a pretty big raise off the ground. But that's unique. Nebraska, I liked Nebraska, and then my non-Big Ten arena that I went to was probably NC State. I liked NC State a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any stories on or off the court that you would like to add about college?
Oh gosh, I had so many great memories and great times. I would say, just being able to spend, that time with my teammates and my coaches, I think we bonded a lot, and I think that really helps, with chemistry and anything, was being able to hang out with, your closest people outside the court, and being able to translate it to on the court. And then other than that, I mean, Indiana is just absolutely beautiful, and I couldn't have imagined going anywhere else. And just the facilities are, oh my gosh, they're crazy. It's amazing to see, even now where it's went to, and the athletically and the education side of it, the campus is absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I just had, I don't know any specific stories, but I just had so many great memories there that I will cherish forever.
So after college, what did you do?
So after college, I left 2018, and I actually got invited. So it was kind of a quick turnaround. So our last game was March 31st. So we're one of 4 teams playing. So we had the WNIT championship. Then the next day was obviously the NCAA championship. So we're one of 4 teams playing. So then it was a quick turnaround because the draft was a week later. So about, I think, 10 days after that. So it was a quick turnaround. I knew I wanted to play at the next level professionally. And so, I was told there was a lot of mock drafts that you just never know. It's kind of a lot to do with politics too in basketball, as, with everything else going on. And so I was told and saw the mock drafts that I was going to get drafted by the Indiana Fever. Well, you can never. I never ever got my hopes up. I've always been told just to put my head down and keep working. Don't worry about what everyone else has going on, what everyone else says. Just worry about myself and control what I can control. And so that's something that I've always just focused on. So even though I didn't get drafted, I still believed that I would get a shot. And so I was fortunate enough, which was very interesting, was I got a call from my coach that recruited me out of IU, Kurt Miller. And, he called me and said, you know what, I want to give you an opportunity to come and play, at the Connecticut and be with us at training camp. So, of course, I'm like, oh, yeah, what? This is awesome. Of course, I would love to do that. And so just getting that opportunity that he gave me, and, he's always believed in me. And, even though he said it's going to be hard, they have a lot of smaller guards there too. He told me that. He was upfront with me. He was honest with me. But just being able to get those 2.5 weeks with him, to finally see him coach me just because I didn't get the opportunity to be coached by him, was really cool. And it kind of brought back some old memories. But he was, someone that I really, appreciate just for giving me that opportunity to show my, skills at the next level. And then obviously, once I got cut from the WNBA, the next thing was overseas. And so I, obviously had an agent. I had an overseas agent. Because, I always was told that you can't really, you want someone that has the connections overseas. And so I got a guy that was based in Athens, Greece. So my team that I went to was also in Athens. So I went there in October of 2018. And it just wasn't a good situation for me. There was a lot of things that happened, and we don't have to obviously get into that, but it was a pretty bad experience. Whether it was the agent, whether it was the team I was playing for, all that is just it can be different. Everyone has good experience, everyone has bad experiences over there, and mine wasn't very good. And so that was obviously hard. I didn't want it to end like that, and my family, my mom and dad came with me for a week to kind of get me settled in. And I had 2 great American teammates. One had left the team, and so it was just me and another girl. But I became really close with her, and that's, something that I really appreciated was getting to know her. And she played at Alabama, and she was also a great player. She was more of a shooting guard, so we kind of, were right there with each other, and we told each other everything, and we kind of got to know each other, which was really cool to finally, be able to feel like didn't feel at home at all over there. And so it was being able to connect with someone and feel like, a little bit of at home was important to me. And so being away was obviously difficult, and it was a very tough time. But I think, everything, like I said, happens for a reason. And if it wasn't meant to be, then, I would just continue on with my life. And as hard as it was to stop playing basketball, still work out almost every day. I still, obviously still keep shooting, and I still have that, motivation. I still have that competitiveness in me. So it's just, I think I expected a lot too, and nothing is ever going to be like how it was in college. And so I was thinking it was, professional, just different. Not that they're not playing for the team, but they're playing a lot for themselves too. And so I didn't really realize, like, once you're a professional, it's kind of like you got to take care of yourself. And that's what I grew up doing, was playing basketball because it was a team sport, and I loved the fact that I'm with my team. And I just didn't get that vibe whenever I played professionally, which, that's just how it is, and it's not going to be like college, and you just kind of have to grow up and, protect yourself. And so that's something that, that I didn't really like much about the professional level, but it comes with it. And, I'm very fortunate that I was able to get the opportunity. I think if I wouldn't have went, I would have had a lot of regrets. So I'm glad I at least tried it. And even though I didn't have the experience that I would have hoped for, I still had an amazing support system that had my back regardless. And so then I came back in the spring of 2019. So last spring I finished my student teaching, because we weren't allowed to student teach during season, and since our season's both in the fall and the spring, I had to stay an extra semester, and I went to WNBA training camp. Then the fall I went overseas, so then I was like, okay, I came back, finished my degree, and which was super fun to student teach, and finished last May. And then now I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought maybe I would try going back overseas again, but then I had such a bad experience. It was just, oh gosh, it was just thinking about it, I was not, like mentally, it just messed me up a little bit. And so, it was not a good experience for me at all. And so I didn't want to go through that again. And even though, you never know, I could have had a better experience. I didn't want to even think about having the tough time that I did whenever I went in the fall of 2018. So I said, let's just see what else, I can do. And I trained kids. I trained kids in Bloomington. I started that actually in the summer of 2018. So even before I went overseas, I started training kids and doing clinics, which was, I absolutely loved it. I mean, not only do I love working with children, but I get to teach them the sport I love, basketball. I mean, it couldn't be much better than that. So I got to do that, and then I continued that too, even last summer, and even throughout the year, because then I started getting a lot of clients, and then a lot of people wanted me to do clinics, and it's been really fun. And I think that's kind of a teaching, learning from that too, is because one day I do want to be a coach, and I think that's really helped, is to be able to come up with different workouts for different abilities, because I'm working with kids from 6 years old to 18 years old, so that's a very wide range. And some people are pretty good, some people have a little bit more weaknesses that they need to work on. And so it's been fun to kind of come up with how to make someone else better, and that's something that I've always liked doing, is being a role model and wanting to impact lives, and that's some way that I can. So I've been doing that. And then I was fortunate enough in July, my sports information director in Indiana reached out to me and said, hey, Big Ten Network reached out to us, and they would like to know if you would maybe want to be a color commentator for the women's basketball games. And I said, oh, really? Broadcasting? Interesting. Like, I've never taken a broadcasting course, never did any of that before. So I said, hey, why not? I'm talking basketball, and only nerve-wracking thing would be I'm talking on national television. But it was really cool. And so in August, I went to the Big Ten Network studio in Chicago and kind of did a tour of their studio, which was super cool to see the behind-the-scenes things. And a lot of people, it was funny because a lot of people knew who I was just because of playing at Indiana. They knew who I was, and so everyone's like, hey Tyra, and I'm having to meet everybody. And my boss Sue, she told me that. She said, hey, a lot of these people are gonna know who Tyra the player was, so they're gonna want to talk. And so it was really cool to meet some pretty big time people, both on the women's and the men's side. And so it was really cool, and to be able to go there and audition, and for them to tell me that that's something that they would really want me to do, is to take a role in being a color commentator for the women's basketball games on Big Ten Network. And I said, hey, I'll try it out. So this past season, I was a color commentator. I did both games, and then I also did a lot of studio work, and it was a lot of fun. And it was a learning experience for sure. But the Big Ten Network, there's so many great people that work there, and they were great mentors for me, especially Lisa Byington, and I did a lot of my games with her, and then also Jordan Burnfield. They helped me out a ton. They were great, and I coming in being a rookie, my first year, not knowing anything, they were some people that I really looked to and asked questions, just because I wanted to be great. I didn't want to be bad at something, so it was a good experience.